Broadcasting live from the Ted Kaczynski Did Nothing Wrong ravaged bayous of Louisiana. It's I, the Fez Lord himself, Maximilian. Always your friend and always here to give you the truth. Oh, I hope that everybody is having a great day. Ted Kaczynski was wrong about a lot of things. Got to hunt for material these days. Oh, let me adjust my camera here just a hair. Where are you at, camera? What are you doing? What are you doing? Get back over here. Almost there. Wonderful. There we go. All right. Wunderbar. How is everybody doing? We've got a few people already here, like the never late and always great Joe, real American hero. We got, of course, Rowdy Riles, giving everybody that Pride Month notification. Fearful. Just who would be scared? You know what? Don't answer that. Yes. Oh my goodness. Haystack, what do we got? Second is just the first loser. Oh, Leah Glacia, ma'am. Third, we don't count here because math is hard. So oh yeah, we're gonna have a great. I've given a lot of thought about tonight's show, and I missed last week, so you got to get a double dose of Max tonight. So if I can get my beard to not look so Grizzly Adams here, and of course for the late and always great the amazing, who is not here tonight, I might add, unless he's doom scrolling somewhere. Stay hydrated, kids. Listen, I don't know anybody who's got a portfolio out there and could tell me how I can adjust in Mio. It's just these little squirt bottles and it adds just a flavor to your water. And honestly, I don't think I would be staying hydrated if it was not for Mio. Kaiju Kitty. Yeah. Super K44. Is that 44 caliber? I already said hi to you, Rowdy. Oh, are you talking to everybody else? Don't drink and drive. No, salt's bad for Max. Far bad. I tried to get into some of those and I couldn't do it. And probably the reason for that is something to do with whatever Robert Diaz is cooking. I'm pretty sure that he's behind it. Whatever it is, Diaz is doing it. So, we got, listen, hydration, especially right now, today, it is 91 degrees, which means with humidity, it's Louisiana. So that's, those bayous that I mentioned at the first of the show. It's there's water in those, so it is 100% humidity always here in Louisiana. Um, and so it's probably about 101 today. Um, Now it's not like haystack, the fields are on fire and kind of day, but I'm sure he's got the water truck full and he is ready for action as always. So it ah I'm sorry I missed last week. I have been there's just so much just there's just so much that I honestly I wasn't feeling good already, and then I woke up to just what whoever else was you know being a hateful prick that week, and I was like, you know what, I just I Max can't Max can't, so it Max didn't, and I don't think I was awake for more than 2 hours a day last week. I don't know what if it was something that hit me or if it was just, the normal second breakfast of medication I get to take every damn day because you young shits will get there and find out soon enough. So it well, you know, but I hope that I make up for it this week. I think I've got a good show. I've got a little bit of I got a little bit of Max history, which everybody loves, and just a kind of nothing that's going to calm any of the assholes down, but just give a little insight. And of course, then last night I'm watching Display and Model Behavior, and you know Dave's whole motto is, pretty much my entire show. So I am going to give a lot of credit tonight to displaying model behavior. And if you're not subscribed to his channel and you're someone who enjoys action figures and toys and stuff like that, you most definitely need to check out Dave. He's always just what you need when you think you've had enough. So it and I don't know, did I have something else? Oh, yeah, somebody brought me a birthday present today. My birthday was like 2 months ago. But I am I, I have no idea what this is. It's kind of a Lego set thing. And it is a whole lot. He seemed to think that it was this one. Let me maybe I get the overhead cam. You guys can see it on there a little bit better. And there we go. Uh Apparently it is supposed to be this one. Kind of looks like some Gundam Pacific Rim, but City Action Mech Series. High good. It is high good or high Godo, Gudo, Go Do, High Go Do. So it is unique gifts, mech enthusiasm, and creativity. And of course, there's a choking hazard because it ain't fun unless you can choke on it. Building plane display. I'm not sure it's I don't know. It's definitely kind of a Lego thing, and I'm not going to be putting this together tonight. Um, but next week, I think we can. It's got some interesting little pieces. I mean, they look pretty cool. I was thinking when he handed me the box that it was all 5 of them. I don't know which one it is. Yeah, it definitely matches. Let me see if I can find them. Oh boy, stickers, because I fucking love those. Holy shit, this book. Look at this book. It's a novel. 22, 40, 94 pages, 95 pages. Yeah, so it is definitely this guy. But that is apparently there's some other ones. Oh, look, it's got a little minifig guy. Sluban. That's the name. I guess next week on the show we are going to put together some Legos. Some Temu Legos. Amazon Legos, whatever this is. So I will have that for you. And I don't know if anybody, instructions by Tolkien. Yeah, that is 100% accurate. That is, and this is from somebody who started reading Tolkien in like 3rd grade. So it, I am not, you know what? I'm going to do that. Damn Diaz. That was my man. Gone too soon. Yeah, we'll put together some Legos next week. I think nice little yeah, you know what? Some of the bootleg sets have been very interesting. I've really kind of gotten away from a lot of Legos, uh, mostly because just Bandai has ruined me for life. Um, I've once you put together a master grade or a perfect grade Gundam set, everything else is just ruined for you. It's done. There's nothing left. There's nothing left. Just quit. The stuff that these engineers can come up with for these toy sets that no glue. I mean, back in the day, you had to, me and Haystack's day, you had to get the old tester's glue tube that always cracked a little bit and was like, halfway through that, French Newport airplane, you were so high you remembered math. The high. Yeah, that was, everybody's like, why are Gen Xers like they are? What developed them to make Gen Xers? Tester's modeling glue. That's what the fuck did it. Hold on one second. I got like a hangnail or some shit. Yeah, Tester's modeling glue. That stuff was there was the gray tube, that was the no matter how much you sniffed it, didn't do nothing. It was but the red tube of Testers, I mean old formula, none of that Pizza Hut new sauce kind of stuff. This was the real deal. And that stuff would just fill a room and ventilation. What? What ventilation? The hell are you talking about? How do you spell that? Let alone in no, we didn't. It's like I watch these kids now. I go up and my littlest assistant did 3D printing, a lot of resin model kits and modeling and printers and resin printers and the filament printers and stuff like that. And I'm watching this room and I'm like, where's the big fans? There's definitely not enough fans in this room. Yeah, listen, when you get so high you remember math, that's when you know you've got the Tester's brand. They need to put that on. That needs to be on a poster. Like the old timey posters. Uncle Sam wants you. It's just Tester's modeling glue wants you to remember math. It would you would. I'm pretty sure that's somewhere in Isaac Asimov's library and Ray Bradbury's library. There is a small seeping bottle of Tester's model glue. Oh, it if anybody's wondering, we will get to tonight's we will get out of the 4A and retire to the parlor in probably about the 20-minute mark. So if you're needing to edge out and come back in, somebody posted up something and I just can't get it off my mind about some of the new words that I've had to learn from the younger generation, and it's fine. Nomenclature is a hobby of mine, but somebody made a post the other day. It's like, remember when goon was a henchman? that's all that word meant to us. It just a lot of it's good to once you stop learning, you're done. That's you should always be hungry for knowledge. And what the kids are saying, this is their world now. So learn those words. Like today I learned what Eiffel Tower meant. I was watching a show and a couple guys would go Eiffel Tower and then they would high five. And so I just kind of picked it up. And today my daughter did something amazing. It saved the college from nuclear disaster. And I was like, Eiffel Tower. And I was like, we should probably know what that means before we of course it was D amazing because everything he's D and he's amazing. Yeah. That you're right. That is where that came from. I do remember seeing that. Yeah, so that's exactly what my daughter, my lovely little assistant did. She went to Le Orbon Dictionary and looked up Eiffel Tower. And I said, I am going to be so upset if it's some pervert thing. And I was not old enough for that movie. So, yeah, it not old enough. I have a foul mouth. I have you can ask Haystack. I have always had the foulest mouth. There's no holding it back. It's part of our language, and I love expressing language out. Sometimes as vulgar as I could possibly get. I believe the more F bombs that you can put in something, the more somebody will pay attention to it. Maybe not while you're saying it, but later on it seeps in and the F bombs filter out and you get the message. Yeah. So we don't Eiffel Tower anymore. Now we're back to just regular high five. And that's exactly where we need to be. Oh, you know what? That's okay. That's one of the great things about being an adult because I mean, honestly, uh, adults aren't real. We're just overgrown kids. It's just, you know, how much has the world broken us? Uh, but finding out some of the shit that just, hey, yeah. Okay. Well, I did promise. 20 minutes in, I think everybody's here that's going to be here. Yeah, you ain't kidding. And we're definitely going to get into that. Um, right now, in fact. So I titled tonight's show The Golden Rule of Collecting. And I know I'm friends recently, uh, especially, I've always been, but uh more more recently I've gathered more into my fold of toy collectors, but I've always been a toy collector and I've always been a collector. And I was going to go into a big epitaph of what is a collector that we need to define before I can get into the golden rule of collecting. It's good to know what a collector is. But that is such it's so broader than we know it to be. And this is where we I gently move you into a it's a Mac story time. Um I have been in collecting since I was 3 days old. I might have told this story before. Um Back I was born in the year before the bicentennial, the grand year of 1975. And back then, when you were having a child, they kept you for a week. It wasn't like today. My wife when she had our daughter, she was out that evening. 3, 4 hours later, cool. You know what? Your vagina's not gonna prolapse. Go the fuck home. Um, baby's baby's had its first good poop. We don't need you anymore. But in 75, child mortality rate was exceptionally higher than it was today. And although it might be declining again, uh, and they used to keep you for at least a week. My mother, bless her heart, the saint that she is, uh, come from a family of antiquity dealers. My father also was heavy into the antiques market. And hey, Box, how you doing, bud? So I come from both sides of the family. I'm in with collectors and antique dealers. And I'm not talking, flea market shit. I'm talking very, very high end, a little teacup plate worth 5 grand, kind of antiques. Haystack can tell you I was raised in a virtual museum. When they run out of room, they'd throw it in my room. So when I behaved, and so I was pulled out of the hospital AMA, which means against medical advice, at 3 days old. So my mother would not miss a antique show. I spent the first 3 years of my life sleeping under a table set up at antique shows. Now, I want to explain. I want you to envision with me what these shows looked like. When you see a convention like San Diego Comic Con or FanCon, something like that, where it is just literally impossible to see everything in one day. 700 vendors. The Kansas Coliseum in Wichita, Kansas. You can Google it. Look at the main floor of that, not the hockey arena, the main floor of the Kansas Coliseum. And that was filled from one end of the next with antique dealers. Hello, Bunny. It is wonderful to have you here. You're very welcome. And I spent the first 3 years sleeping under, they'd have folding tables, we'd have, antiques set up, and that's pretty much how my family made a living. If you look up, if you Google Earth Street View, Pratt, Kansas, there is still a building that says Charlie's Glass, which was my father's antique shop. My mother still has an antique shop to this day in Hooker, Oklahoma, as well as a music. She got a lot of shit, and she knows her stuff. I know my stuff. I have countless books on collecting, and yes, and that's wonderful. That's one of the points I was just about to make. Collectors are they're vast. It's not just toy collecting. If you own more of 3 pieces of something, you're officially a collector. And when you collect something, you really it's a catch-22 is what it is. Growing up around all these antique dealers, they all loved you when you had what they wanted. Most of the time, it's if you've ever been in retail, you get somebody comes in, they look at something, they go, and then they keep walking. You've just been ignored. And it's something that there's so many levels of interaction when it comes to collectors dealing with other collectors. And I've seen it all from the absolute. I mean, you think some of the crap going on in the toy world right now is mind-boggling and upsetting, which it absolutely is. You've seen nothing. Nothing. It's not a scratch on the copper engraving of some of the mind-boggling, astronomical bullshit that I have seen in the collecting world. Antique dealers have literally X'd people out. Unalived, I believe, is the YouTube slang over antiquities. And it's I had one time my mother had me she remembers this differently. She thinks it was my cousin watching the booth, and she might have been present, but I remember actually selling this. But my mother had a yarn holder, and it was something you put your yarn in. It had a small hole at the top, and it was, a good 150 years old. It doesn't matter what it was $400. And this was in maybe 1979, 1980. I can't imagine what it would be worth today. But markets rise and fall. But my mother had to go to the restroom, so we watched the booth. I was maybe 4 at the time. Couldn't have been older than that, 4 or 5. And the minute my mother left the booth, this person who was watching came up and was like, "Hey, little kid, I'll give you $20 for that." And I was like, $20? Oh boy, that's more money than I've ever seen. I can't wait to tell Mom. She'll be so happy. And off they went. And they knew exactly what they were doing. This was a planned event, because the minute it happened, my mother came back, not seconds later, and immediately got the show. They had people on the announcement. They were checking exits for this piece, and that person just bolted. And it's not the first time that's happened, and not the last time it's happened. I had my G.I. Joe collection as a kid. We set up a few pieces at a garage sale. I had a Terrordrome. I had figures going all the way back from 83, with all their crotches and thumbs intact, with except for one grunt, which again I wasn't kidding about. I believe that there's probably still the thumb of a grunt, 1983 grunt, somewhere still trying to digest in my I've seen fist fights. I've seen people go into booths with thousands of dollars of pattern glass and just flip tables. And I've seen knife collectors who have knives are something that they're you almost need them to be untouched. The minute you get that knife, it either stays in the original packaging with the original grease, or you take it out, you put it in a leather cloth, and you gently wrap it, you preserve it. You want to keep it as close to, the big knife collectors. I mean, the ones who pay thousands of dollars for a Boy Scout pocket knife from 1920 or 1930, whatever. I've seen some of those guys just get out their jeweler's lens, and they get into some of the 5X. I can't remember case knives and stuff like that. They get so I've seen people just everything you could imagine, be it people who are out to just rip somebody else off, or genuinely good people take advantage of, and things like that. So there's the point I'm trying to get across is, no matter what you collect, there's always one golden rule. Something that has got me personally through, 50 years of collecting. 3 days old, I have been into collecting. I'm pretty sure I had the original, every color of that model of Binky that first came out, because my mother was a completionist, and she put that into me. It's one reason why I have a complete set of the G.I. Joe Classified. I have I have other collectibles that I've never even talked about, never brought them out. The golden rule of collecting: don't be a dick. Don't be an asshole. That is one thing through the years that no matter what you're doing, my grandfather sold antique gun parts. He'd go around to antique shows. He'd go around to um, gun shows and things like that. I always went with him. He would have parts for it didn't matter. You name the most obscure pistol, rifle, whatever. And you'd go up and be like, Sam, you got this receiver for whatever. He'd like, third drawer, all the way in the back, there should be 3 of them. I want $15. Well, I'll give you 10. Well, they're $20 a piece. Well, what you said they were 15, yeah, and you said they were 10, so now they're 25. You want to keep, don't be a dick. That was something that my family's always, as long as you're fair and honest, you got fair and honest. The minute you weren't, you got hell rained down upon you. And it's a lot of the problems that I see in a lot of the collecting circles right now. I'll stick with, I know a lot of the people that are watching this are, toy collectors. But we have Co-Buddy in, they're a knife collector. So, I'll keep it generalized. But in a lot of the collecting circles I see right now, you're always going to have a certain level of gatekeeping in collecting. It's not always a negative thing. Somebody who just goes in and it's not, I don't want to say gatekeeping as in you can't collect this. I'm talking about some of the idiots right now who are like, well, your opinion doesn't matter because you don't have a dedicated collecting room. Your whole room isn't dedicated to this thing, so your heart's obviously not in it. You're a broke dick, and you can only afford to buy whatever figures appear at Ollie's, or you can only afford to buy buck knives. So you're not a real knife collector. It's you like Haystack is somebody I'm going to pick on for a minute. You can only afford a maybe a 70s AMC Jeep. So you're not a real military collector. It's, he definitely has more than a it's Rowdy, good luck with your move, and be careful with those figures. Remember, those lightsabers break easy. So it's, well, opinions vary, Bunny, because I have known quite a few knife collectors, and I'm glad that you have had the experience where everybody that you've experienced has been nice, and I am exceptionally happy for you on that. But my experience is I've known some other knife collectors, and oh, you don't have a Hummer yet? You're not a real collector. I can only afford the model, damn it. Oh, very much so. I said, it's 51 years in collecting. And it's and we should talk about. I want to be clear on this because I don't want to getting into the nomenclature of the different levels of collecting. It's if you've got somebody who's just got a couple of the figure, just got a couple figures or a couple pieces of glass, and they're calling themselves a collector. It it's there's two sides to it. It's how you convey yourself and how you are uh how others see you. So if you're calling yourself a collector and you mean by collector you are a investment buyer, you're there clearing out or a scalper, and you're there totally for just buying to resell because that's what you do. You have no interest in what it is except for just the passing knowledge, and it's and then you've got some collectors that I've seen that they do have a genuine love for what they're collecting, but they are more interested in being TV personalities or whatever there are. Uh, God, I'm getting down that rabbit hole that I'll never get out of. Talking about the different type of collectors. It let's check out a few comments. Um, yes, definitely good luck, Rowdy, and blankets and towels. Um, yes, I believe that may, I don't know if that's collector or obsessive compulsive in need of therapy. Uh, um, well, but you haven't experienced them, but they actually do exist. I know some people who hunt the markets, and they're when that estate sale opens, they are there. They're making deals. It everything I'm talking about, whether you've experienced it or not, everything I'm talking about pretty much floats along everything you could possibly imagine to collect. Whether you collect cigars, whether you collect thimbles, stationary goods, tattoo equipment, which boy, let me tell you, um, they, I was a tattooer for 30 years, and I can tell you that when some of my friends, the elder tattooers that came before me, uh, when they passed away with their collections, I can tell you right now that if there was a chance to steal, lie, cheat to get some of that history in your hands, there are those that did it now. And, again, just don't be a dick. Don't be an asshole. Um, we've got a big thing right now with a tattooer who passed away a few months ago. She was a wonderful woman, very gentle, very good tattooer, very much an elder in the community. And the minute she passed away, not 5 minutes before they put that sheet, not 5 minutes after they put that sheet on her in the hospital, somebody broke into her house, and what do you know? They only took tattoo equipment. Hmm. Um. And listen, when some of those rare case knives come out or limited edition Remington or there's everything I'm talking about. Stamps. Oh, whew. Yeah. Yeah. Stamps. I listen, stamps are like people who collect Hot Wheels. They should be avoided at all costs because they're dangerous people. um, it, it's definitely something that, that these people are always going to be out there. The people who, uh, a lot of the ones that truly upset me currently are a lot of the scalper people. You know, you see videos every day on YouTube of, and World Star people getting into a fight in fights for Pokemon cards, stuff for kids. My kid collect Pokemon cards. I've got a deck, and I don't even want to look at it now because it just. And I think maybe that might be some of the point. Not to get a it. This is the kind of gatekeeping that is not the gatekeeping that you expect it to be. It's not the somebody telling you just outright that you need to that you suck or anything like that. It's making these stipulations, these side comments that and I've heard this before with antique collectors that, well, you don't have a dedicated space. You're keeping all your antiques in plastic tubs in your laundry room. Well, you of course can't be taken serious. You don't sign your checks with a Mont Blanc. Well, sir, your stationary skills are atrocious. I I I could never. And sometimes in antiquing, they use that technique to get you to lower the price when they try to buy it from you. Uh, Automotive people do this when you go to trade in your car, and uh, you thought you just spent 5 grand redoing the drivetrain of this Ford Falcon that maybe needs a paint job and the interior isn't great, but that vehicle is worth, and you're not being a dick. So you ask a fair price, and then they come down and they start cutting it down. It just, never, usually not outright. They do it subtly. And that way, when they come at you and say, "Oh, well, I can only give you 2,500 for this," that's fair, more than fair. It When you've got a toy collection and you've calculated the cost of within the last 2 months of what each sale has been, um, and you take it to the collector shop and you're like, here's what the sale recent sales, here's what all the prices, here's a current value of this collection, and I'm willing to take 60%, leave you 40% of the profit. And you're not being a dick, you're being fair, you're being honest, and they don't want that. Someday, and this isn't everybody. But I've noticed this especially here in the toy community, and I've seen just little comments, little things about, well, you can't be serious because you don't have a dedicated toy space. You don't have a whole room for your collection. Um, and I know people who have whole rooms who don't care. Woody 222 has a massive collection, huge space, shows it off. And when you meet him, he doesn't care if you just got one figure that's leg is broke off and you know, you carry it around because it reminds you of dear old dad. You're a fellow collector to him. Your opinion matters. Uh, I don't know. It's and there's so many people who just cannot help but be an asshole. Now, opinions on what makes somebody an ass and who's being a dick differs because communicating with other human beings is like trying to convey emotion through a text message. Um, I'm sure to some people right now, I'm being an absolute twat. And fair enough. I promise you, I've been accused of worse. It, it's, and, but I always try to not be that first. It, it takes a lot for me to just outright. It's kind of like my parents and my grandfather, treat everybody nice until it's time to, and then the minute you realize that there's going to be nothing like that coming to you in return, then double down and get ready to fight out back. It's but I've noticed it a lot, especially with a lot of the toys. You own this toy and and not this one, which I have a massive collection of. It's everybody wants to always kind of justify what they've done. I've spent all this money on GI Joes, and I really want you to respect that. And so I'm going to force you to respect it by telling you that your Gundams are dumb. Gundams are I like Gundams too. I think it's interesting. I love watching humans be humans because humans are the dumbest creatures on the face of this planet. We should have all been coyotes and hog snakes. I think they've got it down. It's just it's so interesting, and there's so much politics right now. Don't make anything easy, because that's just another step in the ladder of how can I, you know, talk down about what you collect and how you collect it. And I would never, sir. Never. No, sir. No, sir, I wouldn't. I spent 3 months putting one together, so I promise you, respect some of the people who put together Gundams because there are those out there who um, put together some that are a lot more amazing than I could ever assemble. That reminds me, stick around towards the end, Bunny. When I get some free time and I get done yapping, I will show you a katana that I think that you might really enjoy. Um, Somebody should. It's about $4,000 worth of katana. So, um, see, I collect a lot of things. It's one reason I've seen, and there's not a lot of people out there who have seen the collections that I've seen. I mean, there's some of us, but the days of those antique shows at the Kansas Coliseum are they're long gone. You know, um, there's even even some of the toy conventions that are out there now. Uh, there's some of them, they're great. Everybody I hear has a great time, but they're nowhere near anywhere close to. And some of it has to do with, you know, the boomer generation having an overstock of collections from their depression era parents who didn't ever throw anything away, and that's um a little bit of the psychology of it. And a lot of those collectors are passing away, and there's, you know, a lot of you know, antique shops. When I was a kid, that there wasn't a single town that we drove through that we didn't stop and go into an antique shop. uh some of the toys that I saw when I was a kid that people struggle and drool over now, I've I've seen all of it. All of it. There's nothing that you could put out there that I haven't at least had within my arm's length. Hey, Stack, back me up on this. It you know, the original Voltron and a lot of the Japanese toys. Kid I grew up with named Daniel, he had a basement full of them. The original Voltron, the 24 vehicle Voltron, brand new, probably so full of lead from Taiwan, that it's a wonder that any of us can form a sentence. Um, they uh, I don't. Jim Thorpe was the athlete. The gun museum that you're thinking of in Tulsa was started by a different gentleman, and he's buried in that gun museum. Um, didn't I think my mother took us there as part of a vacation one time? I'm pretty sure you were there too. Um, I had a complete collection of Star Wars, everything they ever produced, with the exception of the Imperial Shuttle. And my mother worked at Walmart, so we had all the displays. Now, I'm not telling anybody any of this to brag or to knock down anybody's collection. I love sharing that knowledge and I love talking about that knowledge. But some of the people that I really, you know, that really need to hear a lot of this stuff, um, all they want to do is confine it to, how do I want to put this? I got to make a tattoo reference. So there are a number of tattoo museums throughout America. I've contributed to a number of them, and most of them are run like Dana Barrett, not Dana Barrett, Dana Brunson up in Ohio. Ohio, you also have the Bickney Tattoo Museum, which is run by Rich Thomas. You've got Northwest Tattoo Museum, which is oh my God, I just had a memory pop up. I sent a machine to him. I'm an asshole for not remembering your name, bud, but it's my mind not working. Anyway, it'll come to me in about 5 minutes. I'll just spat out some random name. But there's a few people who own a lot of important tattoo history, and they feel because they own it that they control the narrative of it. And that seems to be, kind of a little bit of a problem uh, that I feel. I mean, that's what I feel. I don't know if that's what it is. I don't know if any of this is what it is. All this is what I feel, my perspective of how I see things. But I've noticed a lot of toy collectors. I've noticed a lot of collectors who just, because I own this large amount of something, I am the definitive source of what how you should observe it, instead of just it's a lack of objectivity is really what it comes down to. They can't uh and there's some people, and you know what, there's some people who like 3D Joes, who preserve that history, share it with everybody else. They're you've got um the Wish book, which I contributed to on Kickstarter, and they put out basically everything that came out between this year and this year, because antique books are nobody prints them anymore. So, oh, he's got more problems than just trying to own the history. Um, but yeah, he's definitely one of them. Not to name names, I'm not here to throw anything. This is something to where if you're offended by what I say, you were meant to be offended. So that's really, if you start feeling like, well, he's talking about me, then yeah, I'm probably talking about you. Um Unless I call you out by name, Haystack. um I don't know why. Did Chaos tell you to? Shouldn't listen to her. She's crazy. um, it was me. But it just, there's a lot of, I'm still referring to the tattoo. There was one guy who just, he really kind of opened my eyes to a lot of this. And hey, Dan, you're more than welcome, bud. Pull up a chair. And so he owned a lot of important tattoo history. Had a museum in an important spot, and people started donating things and things like that. And he really just, and the sharing stopped. It was kind of a situation to where it became more important to him that you heard his version of the history that he owned. You couldn't argue with him because he owned that particular sheet of artwork or something else like that, instead of like getting down to what's really important, which is why, what, when, and where, and sharing that with everybody so everybody in that community could benefit from the knowledge. It was more about him and you coming to him for that knowledge. If anybody else tried to share it, oh, he'd shut it down. That's not right. You can't, that's the gatekeeping that I was talking about, which is, you have to come to me. Now, when you throw YouTube into all this, you double the anxiety and double the chaos. Not you, chaos. The other chaos. And because then you have to worry, when you're doing this, a lot of people, when they're on YouTube, this is about work. This is a job. They're trying to get money. They need the algorithm to work with them, not against them. So, you throw everything I've talked about in tonight and then throw YouTube into the mix, and it just gets nuts. And I don't know what a solution is for it. Um, there's great, even some of the worst culprits that are guilty of the things that I've talked about tonight, are they, some of them still have very important knowledge in their broken little brains that's important to the community. Some of them just need to, step off their porch and keep falling, but that's beside the point. You give somebody enough rope and they usually take care of themselves. The algorithm definitely supports negativity, and it likes the drama, which is why the golden rule is so just don't be dick. It's such a great rule that, again, I want to give proper thanks. I didn't get this from displaying model behavior, but I definitely hear him say it more than anybody. And if you need guidance on how to do this, watch his show. I guarantee you, Dave won't care if you copy it. If you copy, how and he'll stand up. You can stand up and be assertive, not have to be, passive aggressive and just take the punches. And you don't have to be aggressive. Just be assertive. Just don't be a dick. And yeah, and unfortunately, once they get that attention, a thing they teach you in psychology is, and this is not pseudo psychology, which some people enjoy posting and talking about. This is actual psychology. When somebody needs attention and they can't get positive attention, it's unavailable to them. When they get negative attention, it's better than nothing. So they'll keep it. I know I can get negative attention. I have to work to get positive attention. So I'm just going to get attention any way I can. And if that means negativity, then that's what it is. And I'm not being Mr. Positivity Police, because it's absolutely sad. And I've been there. I've acted out that way. I haven't always been the sweet, charming Fez Lord angel that you see before you today. Ask Haystack. I kept every adult on their toes. If I could wreak havoc, that was going to be on the meat's back on the menu, boys. I've had some adventures with that, but that ultimately, that is a very self-centered thing to do. And a lot of times when you're acting out this way, you don't realize how many people you're hurting. And, you hurt people. That's the real thing. A lot of these guys want to talk about, oh, they just want Mr. Positivity, please, just because I'm negative. They want to come after me. No, listen, you do you. You do you. It's fine. Um, but you don't realize, sometimes you realize because you're intentionally trying to hurt somebody. Uh it's the people that you do not see, the ones that don't respond to you, that you end up hurting more than anything else. The ones that respond to you, they're obviously adults. They're taking care of themselves. They're standing up for themselves. And some of them enjoy a good fight. But, when you get a new collector, that's something that a lot of collectors, a lot of the old collectors are starting to realize now. It's my mother with her antique shop and a lot of her collections. Um, she's getting up there. What are you going to do with some of this? Because a lot of young people, they can't tell you what flint glass is. They can't tell you what, the difference between a uh, Chinese katana or a 1870 katana is, or a knife or anything else like that. It's some of the it takes somebody who really wants to care about something to really carry on that collectors. A lot of toy collectors now are like, why won't they make this toy? I love this as a kid. They won't make this toy. Why won't they make this toy? I really, really want it. Um, it why can't I get affordable Robotech toys? Huh? Why? Fuck you, Harmony Gold. That's why. Because I can't afford that $700 Macross SDF1 that Bandai is putting out. Do I want it? Hell yes, I want it. That woman is young forever. And you keep your mouth shut. I don't really um it it's a lot of the that's why you don't see antique shops a lot around anymore. You see a few antique malls that have little spaces. You don't see one collector who has three buildings. Uh, some of the massive collections that I saw when I was a kid, uh, they're gone. They've been sold off. They're small in-home things, somebody's garage or boxed up somebody's laundry room, and the kids don't care about it. Toy collectors these days, they they again they wonder why they can't get a certain niche toy made for them. And the reason is because we've ran a lot of these people out of the business. You make somebody feel like they don't want to collect. I had this thought last week in the midst of just idiot after idiot after idiot on Instagram and YouTube in the toy community, just having to make whatever thing that popped into their head known to the world. Um, says the guy. And I was just like, you know what? Just why don't I just sell it all and talk about finger painting from now on? And, you know, because, there's no drama There's no hate in the art community. Um, it all this is it's every it's almost every hobby. Every hobby I can think of has some kind of drama going on in it that just makes I wonder, just as a curiosity, if some of this isn't the COVID people, the ones who during lockdown kind of had a second puberty, uh, called a midlife crisis or, whatever, and decided that, I've always wanted to have this collection as a kid. I can't sell, plumbing supplies anymore, and nobody likes me enough to talk to me, so I'm gonna get into toys, and they just aren't happy where they are, so they're gonna make everybody miserable. Uh, or it just whatever. It's they've started this. They realize that across England, you should look up what follies are. Follies are fake castles, and they were really fun to build. If you were a duke or a archduke or a baroness, and it was quite popular to have a folly. Come have tea at the folly. I've got a castle, or I've got a hermit living on my property. And it was you had to have the newest thing, and then once you got it, you needed something else. Real collectors, they do a little bit of this, but then it just moves on to the next collection. Um, I gotta, you know, I collected this like I had a Transformers collection. I was very happy with it. The Siege collection, wonderful toys. I always wanted to have a Transformers collection. Uh, the kid I grew up with, Daniel, would never sell me his Optimus Prime as a kid, so I'd have to stay the night at his house to play with it. And and so it was I mean, it was either that or, try to stay at my other friend's house and move the satellite dish so we could get Playboy TV. But not naming any names, haystack. But it's still downstairs. They don't, I don't, do you know what? I know they don't care. John might, but um, there is so much money in that basement that it's insane. Um, oh yeah, I heard you. Oh yeah. Side note apart, nobody else cares about this. I heard you moved back to the homestead. Congratulations. I'm so glad to hear that. I need to give you we need to I need to give you a call, but I like to talk for 2 hours at a time. Um, but I don't know if I'd go rolling up on that one. You might just have to let those go. um, I don't know what the last time I looked up an original Voltron 1 was going for, and all those, I think it's like 24 different pieces that make the whole robot. Um, him and his brother had a lot of those Japanese toys. Uh, just, I mean, just whole basement of them, and it that was. Well, I know that was early '80s, so I know somewhere around my mom's house, I stole the Red Lion out of a Voltron kit. I think it's the leaded one. It's the little Red Lion. I think it's got the little sticker on the side that says Taiwan. Those were the ones they recalled because they were covered in lead paint. Um, yeah. You know what? It's 2026. I wouldn't be rolling up in the dark unannounced at any house right now. uh, but it's there's a lot of prairie out there where a man could disappear. Fell down a badger hole. Don't know what happened to him. but there for a while where I grew up, they were always finding people in wells. There are some wells out in southwest Kansas, northern Texas, and the panhandle of Oklahoma that probably have bodies 5 high. It mm, it yeah. I mean, it's oh hell, I was telling the story earlier about the person who uh came and ripped off my mother at the antique show. You know, I had all my GI Joes out as a kid. We had a garage sale. I had a Terrordrome, all the vehicles, um, everything going back to a lot of the 1983 first year run. I know I had the Howl and um, just a lot of those, and everything bagged with all original weapons. Wasn't missing any thumbs or none of the crotches broke. My mother went in, go use the bathroom, and this woman just jumped out of her car the minute my mother was out of sight and said, "Hey, little boy, I'll give you $80 for all this." And I'm like, "Wow, $80! Oh boy, razzle dazzle!" And that was the end of my GI Joe collection. I think all I got left now is a hydrofoil. There's some other stuff. There's a few pieces of it left, but that person, whoever it was in Guyman, Oklahoma, that ended up with my GI Joe collection, I hope you choked on them. So, but that ruthless. I mean, the golden rule: don't be a dick. It's not that hard. It's really not. And I'm not saying by don't be a dick, I'm not saying don't stand up for yourself. Don't defend yourself. But oh, listen, we tore down every house I've ever lived in since I was 2 years old. For some reason, my parents felt the need to gut down to the walls and refinish. Um, all the way up to the last home that I lived in with my parents, which was the Ryzen building in Hooker, Oklahoma, and 7,500 square feet. And they gutted, let me rephrase that. I gutted every fucking wall. I still breathe plaster and laugh out on a still night. But um, I'm pretty sure when Haystack came to visit, they probably handed him a shovel and made him shovel plaster out the window. So we found a house. We were living in Kansas City, Kansas, and Winfield, Kansas. We were living in an old farmhouse, and we tore out a wall, and there was just comic book after comic book after comic book. Um, no, I had no idea. I was about 5 or 6 at the time. So to me, I'm just like, comics, yay! Oh yeah, asbestos. How I don't have mesothelioma right now, I um have no idea. Yeah, just the shit people, they'd stick anything. Insulation, man, no, you talk about asbestos. Nobody could afford that shit. You stuck whatever in the walls, especially when you're dealing with flatland, prairie country. The wind never stops blowing, ever. You know what we called 35-mile-an-hour wind? A nice Sunday breeze. Um, that just the wind doesn't stop. The wind stops when you're in the center of the cyclone. That's the only time the wind stops. Yeah, they comics for insulation. Yeah, they were. I guarantee you, none of them were in a salvageable state. But I read through a lot of them. There were some duck comics from the uh, uh, probably the 30s and 40s. Some of them probably wouldn't grade more than a 1 or a 2 nowadays, or ungradable. But they still existed. I don't what if there was anything super important in there. I don't know, but I know there was a bunch of baseball cards. Hell, my parents bought an old trunk one time that had a uh Stradivarius violin hidden in a secret compartment in the bottom. Now, I want to be clear on this. A reproduction Stradivarius violin built in his studio, but not by Stradivarius. So, like, one of his students made this, and it was hidden in this steamer trunk in the bottom. Stradivarius guitar. The shit that my parents have found throughout the years, the shit that I have found throughout the years is astronomical. It's when you're not looking that it finds you. Um, you know what? I promised hey, little assistant, are you available? Somebody? Bueller? Bueller? Hey, grab me that katana right there. I promised Bunny a katana. I need to deliver. Um, this is a NCO katana with a lanyard with matching serial numbers. This was I'm not going to take it completely out because I don't want um, YouTube to freak out. But that is a World War II NCO, Japanese NCO katana. This is not a Chinese reproduction, which they have a lot now. This is the real deal. And this is about, without the lanyard, it's about $3,500 if you can find somebody to buy it. So yeah, that's the important thing about collecting and selling collections is you need to have somebody that will buy it. But Bunny, there is your katana. There is a real Japanese katana. These were machine produced. None of this, a lot of people like to take these apart looking for markings but that was not these. Always, if you are looking at these and thinking you're going to get a ancient katana, check the serial numbers. It'll tell you all the research has been done on these. They were war souvenirs, and not many of them still have the original leather tassel attached to them. But those are this little bit of leather, $400. So it is for sale if anybody's looking. But You're welcome to email me. If Bunny's already left, if he comes back, I will probably show it off again. Um, that's that. There's always something to be had, and it yes, it is probably the best preserved one I've ever seen. And I used to see these things stacked 10 high at gun shows, just cheap ones. You could buy them $20 a piece, but most of them were just beat up. They weren't nice. But finding one that there's a serial number, there's 3 serial numbers on them. And you'll have the serial number on the blade, serial number on the hilt, and then serial number on the scabbard. And if you've got all 3 that match, you got something pretty special. So it and I'm really excited for Bunny. Bunny was talking about how everybody in the knife world has been super nice to him and everything like that. And that's wonderful. If you can experience that, that means you're in the right group of people. That means that, you've why does it look like I just have one big patch of hair sticking out of my chin? That's what I get for going all bushy again. Time for a trim. If you're feeling that with the group of people you're with, then you're in the right group. And I'm happy for you. I'm kind of in between right now. I've I've found I've found some good people. Present company excluded. The Bat Dan and Why Keep the Box. Everybody that's in my chat right now, Joe A-Ra, who has a great show talking about G.I. Joes. I'm hoping to work my way back into his good graces and get back on his show. But yeah, I love watching some of those. Some of those are just, I'll give you a little hint of what to look for with some of those videos. Plastic doesn't rust. So if you see plastic and it's got a big old rust ball on it, just keep going, because you know that video is that's some fake rust. That rust was put on this morning. Oh, let's check out chat, see what's going on, and catch up on some things. Why Keep the Box? My grandmother would save tinfoil off of food containers because she might still use it. Depression era must have been great. Yes, I can testify to this. I've seen this. It all my great grandparents were all my I was practically raised by my grandfather. He was definitely Depression era. Right after World War One, fought in World War Two. So my great grandmother, you see a lot there. You have hoarding now, and it's a lot, and it may be interconnected psychologically. That I'm not going to speak to. I don't know enough on it, but I've always been fascinated with the way people held on to things, just like the aluminum foil. Now I can understand saving your bacon grease, because that's gold, baby. But my grandpa Bob was a postman, and he used to save Folgers cans. Anything metal he held on to, had piles of it. And he would make some hobo trinkets and stuff like that, and that was always really neat. But and he'd use some for gardening, but he always reused, recycled. Um, and that was so yeah, it depression era. I don't know. I hope we don't get there. We might. You know, there's I guarantee you, I just had to spend literally the last penny I have on groceries because my fridge was just wiped the fuck out. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm not gonna bitch about groceries. Everybody's dealing with that now. You already know. So but we didn't get a lot. We didn't get the pantry completely full again. Hey, Stack, big bearded guy who always wears Pokemon stuff. Which, seeing that written out, I realize that doesn't help much. Oh, you must be talking about the scalpers getting their ass beat at the storefronts. Yeah, that's you know. Okay, I'll admit I do have a little bit of a guilty pleasure when it comes to watching grown men and Pokemon stuff, Pokemon gear, beat their ass while this little kid just reaches in, grabs that box that them scalpers are going to get, and runs off, and he gets that Pokemon in his hand. You know, if that's what it took to get them cards in a kid's hand where they belong, then albinos. Well, okay, hold on one second. I got to. I'm about to lay tinfoil down on my countertop because my cat will not keep her shitty kitty feet off of the counter. Yeah, I'm talking to you, fuzzhead. One wrinkle. That's all that little brain has is one wrinkle. And it's all about getting on my countertop. Let's see. What else we got in chat? The Bat Dan 89, yeah, when I was still looking for vintage drums, when I was still collecting, heard stories of so many people having stuff that they got from uncles or it's you're gonna start seeing. I've got a video a number back. If you go through my playlist of live videos, you'll see one called Modern Toys. And there was a book of collecting book uh, called Modern Toys that went through a lot of different collections up through the 80s and stuff. And you see the old Marx toys and some of the early Fisher Price, like the Adventure Team. And we're going to start seeing, people our age. And I know you're just a youngin', Dan, but um, it's why you've got people paying $1,000 for a Rubberhead Playmates Raphael Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Because the toys of our youth are disappearing. Nobody saved them. We played with them. And it's good. The older you get, the worse it gets. I notice there's a lot of all the Star Wars toys that I remember my mom getting me the I had the pre-order Star Wars set. I remember the day it came in the mail. Lived in a little shithole town called Hennessy, Oklahoma. My mother worked for Sam Walton at the very first Walmart in Kingfisher, Oklahoma. He used to drive there. That was his personal store. He used to drive there in his little red truck. And him and my mom, yeah, anyway. So, but the Sam Walton days, those are days we're never getting back. Oh, albino plumbers. I still don't understand what's going. Do you have albino plumbers? Or do you need help? Do we need to send help right now? Why keep the box? It's bad. I remember I had to go into the store once and go, listen, here's my child. Can you please give us one pack of Pokemon cards? You know what? That's just. That is a prime example. I don't, I understand some of these people, they make their living doing this. This is their means of feeding. No, let's be honest. They don't have any family. They're a bunch of incel gooners. But it's their means of support. They resell, they make their profit. That's what they do. I cannot begrudge a man a living. But when you got a kid, and it's self-defeating, because that kid, you've given him an experience that makes him not want to collect anymore. When somebody turns on your YouTube channel and you're constantly talking about fuck that designer of this toy, this is the worst thing ever, and everything like that, that young person who stumbles on, and most of us, like, I'm not a kid show. A kid stumbles across my show, needs better parental supervision. But some of these shows, even though they're not for kids, they're large enough that a kid is going to see it. And the kid's going to get turned off eventually listening to this much shit over something they love. And then they're like, I just fuck collecting. And then you're never going to get those Robotech toys, Max. They're always, you're never going to get someone other than Nacelle to make RoboForce. Sorry, I actually had to bitch about a toy designer for a second. It's okay to, I mean, I always had a rule at my tattoo shop. If somebody came in and asked for something, it was generally a bad idea, and I had to tell them no. I always made sure that if I told you no, I had at least one or two other options for you to go and steer you towards, something that wasn't, a pair of lips on your ass. So I like doing that. I think that makes me a little bit less of a dick. And sometimes, sometimes you're just going to be a dick. That is also something that's going to happen. But if you come from a good place, it just always, it works out better for you. But these Pokemon people and the scalpers, if you've got, it was like during the early days of COVID where these fucking cunts would just load up and have 50 things of toilet paper loaded up in their car, and one person just needed that one roll and you couldn't give it up because you needed 50. You needed to fill your garage with toilet paper. I understand the survivalist aspect of it. I'm not getting on a COVID rant right now, but you know, it's I take care of me, then I'm in a position to take care of it. Um, it's why in I believe some survival circles, you feed you over feeding your kid because if you die, then the kid's going to die too. So it's just I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know, there's a whole world of maneuvers with that kind of shit. But if you've got a whole cart full of Pokemon, or you're whooping some other grown man's ass over a bag, and then you have and this was an actual video I seen, and a kid walks up and was just like, I I want that. And then when the kid can't get it because the guy's like, fuck off, kid, or shit like that, then that kid's gonna find something else. And then eventually nobody's gonna want Pokemon cards because it's set for a bunch of old people. And when that happens, then it's just you've destroyed the hobby. It's gone. It's not gonna come back. Can't recuperate. Pokemon can't make money doing it. Why are they gonna make it? Look at Wizards of the Coast right now. Wow, that's what? Actually, that's a bad example because they've got a whole bunch of other problems, namely Chris Cox. But um, it just again, I'm not the nice police. I'm not gonna go around and tell people to just you're being an asshole. You need to you need to be nice. You need to be positive. The positivity police. No, because I like bitching and ranting on shit, and but when you make it specific and you start attacking specific people, um, or a specific group of people, and I am going to bring this up, you know, um, especially where we've got a world right now where no matter what that problem is, it's probably a trans person's fault. Um, then yeah, that you need to not be a dick. It Yep, it's all your fault, Rowdy. um Something I learned, and I had to learn this the hard way, of what an absolute waste of time. Yeah, listen, you can be an asshole. In fact, biologically, that's the way we all start out. Everybody starts out as an asshole. It's the first thing that forms is your sphincter, a little bitty sphincter, and then you grow from there. So, at conception, you're an asshole. Um, I've spent 30 years modifying people. I used to get people, I'm covered head to toe in tattoos. Um, some very visible. And I would get people I remember this woman one time came up to me in Walmart, and she was shaking, and she was like, "Are you in a gang?" And I was like, "Uh, well, I play World of Warcraft with some people, in the evening. Does that count?" Um, and she was just like, "Well, I just I can't believe you'd have all these tattoos and just ruin the body you were given." She started getting a little religious. Man, you're born with perfection on your body and you just ruin it. And I was just like, do you get your hair done? You get your nails did, shave your legs, put on a nice dress. We begin modifying ourselves, unless you're a fucking Heaven's Gate cult and you all look like. We begin modifying ourselves pretty much as soon as you can dress yourself. We comb our hair a certain way. Uh, that's body modification. Your hair follicles eventually, I want my part on this side. I want it to go this way. Eventually you get your hair cut that way. It stays that way. The hair follicles will move. You get tattooed or you don't get tattooed. You grow a beard. You shave your beard. You again, you paint your nails. You smoke cigarettes and drink Dr. Pepper at 7:30 in the morning. Um, it we individuality is something that everybody desires. And group and pack experiences is definitely something that oh, okay. All right. I thought the cat was eating something on the counter. Anyway, um, individuality is something that we all desire. Standing out, whether you're peacocking with your, you know, F-350 with 60-inch rims and or you like putting around in a little two-cylinder MG. It doesn't matter. That the movies we watched as a kid about breaking out from the norm and going footloose and just, you can't do this but I want to do it. Playing Dungeons and Dragons at lunchtime when at the same time I was doing that, three kids, maybe innocent, were getting, you know, almost burned at the stake in Memphis, Tennessee. Uh, I remember running away from, well, I they call it running away. I did school one day to get my hair dyed blue, and holy crap, I had to answer a bunch of questions about my, uh, you know, who was. I, I think that, yeah. Am I? Oh, oh, dear God, yeah. Am I normal? Holy shit, yeah. Getting called away at fifth hour, and you know what? We're gonna save that one for another night. That, um, Am I having having feelings and not knowing if you're normal or not? Everybody, that's everybody. And the smaller the community that you're in, the more it stands out. And judging anybody based on who they want to be, who they've chosen to be, who am I to say what you are, who you are, or whom you want to be identified as? Who am I? I got in an argument one day with somebody, and who I should have just stuck with it and told to fuck off, about little people and the word midget. And I was like, he was like, well, why can't I call them that? Well, because they have chosen not to be identified that way. That group of people have chosen not to be identified that way. Now, if you're talking about one individual person and that individual person prefers to be called that, then by all means, carry on, sir. If I'm dealing with a person who was born one way and is chosen to be another, who am I to tell that person they're wrong? If worst case scenario, mind my own business and carry on to something else. If it upsets me that bad, mind my own business and carry on. If I'm not okay with your lifestyle, you were tattooed head to toe. Oh man, fuck you. Oh, oh, oh. It's all, and which it is, it's totally awful. At least get good ones. And I've had people who used to message me when on my business page for Nakatosh Tattoo Company, that used to, can you pull that picture down? I hate that you've tattooed that person. I hate that tattoo. I don't like it being on that person. And I was like, well, is this person you? No. Then fuck off. Hey, please just unsubscribe from the page. Don't follow. Go on about minding your own business. And that's always the way I've been about it. I have dealt with some of the most extreme cases, body modification, that I promise you, if I started going into right now, YouTube would ban my channel. Stuff that sailors blushing with shame are the least of your concerns. And I've got friends in multiple communities. And I know that, and there's some twats out there who are like, the word community. They don't. I want to respond to that particular person. You don't know what that means, because I don't believe you've ever had it. I believe you want it desperately. I think you want it. I think you're dangerously close to finding that right now. And I pity you. I pity a lot of people right now. And I don't know if it's just that if it can't all be the 30 years of the tattooing and being in that world. And it can't all be that. I think some of it's the Star Trek utopia mind. Hey, Bunny, I seen you back. I already showed it off, but I'll show it again at the end of the show. But again, it goes down to there's another golden rule. And although I am most definitely not a religious person, I've definitely had that upbringing. So I know that the golden rule that some people think of is love your neighbor. And and hey, it's a great rule. I'm I may not give the sanctity to, that some people give to that person, but hey, you know what? If you love Jesus and you spread his word and that's all for you, hey, I'm all for it. You have found a community that you're happy with. Do what you want to do. That's hey, it's great great for you. I'm never it I don't meet many of those, but there's a few of them out there. Anyway, I'm not getting religious on anybody. I will tell you to donate to Christian organization just as fast as I'll tell you to donate to the Church of Satan. So it but the golden rule of collecting has always been don't be a dick. And I can tell you this, the point of all of tonight, me going into, oh, Max did this and Max was this old and 50 years of collecting and all this. The point of all of this is I've got 51 years of collecting experience. And the one thing that has always been true is don't be dick. That's it. That's it. And just, that's all you got to do. Be honest. And you know what? Honesty does not pay the fucking bills. You will find, I learned being a honest, ethical tattooer that you see less business, that you piss more people off. And, most people who come into collecting, they don't give two shits about your opinion. They don't care how many toys you open. They don't care that you like this particular brand. They're going to see something and they are looking for either a quick referral on whether or not they should buy this next thing, and a quick look over, or they're looking for people who are spouting or yapping about, the same shit that they like. And that's it. I don't know. But when it comes to attacking certain groups of people, and I don't care if they said something that pisses you off, that's still no reason, to go after. Especially people, it is Gay Pride Month. And, so I definitely want to end the show with something that is, just they're not your problem. They're not the reason your groceries are high. They're not the reason that gas is $7 a gallon. It's they didn't do that. There may be one or two of them out there, in the government, but I'm pretty sure they're not writing the policy that is fucking you. And most of most of that community, it's just your neighbor or your friend or somebody you pass by in the street, and all they want is the same happiness that you want. That's what everybody wants. They just want the same happiness you want. They want a safe place to go home at night. They want food in their belly and some death metal on the stereo. And it's all anybody wants. So that's it. I mean, that's pretty much the show for tonight. I'm gonna Bunny, you still here? You better not be a bot. You're still here. I'll yeah, 100%. Peace sells, but who's buying? Nobody. Nobody. All right. So no, this is not a Manchuri. This is a World War II NCO officers. There you go, kids. And it is it's not super sharp, but it's also not dull. I look like I need to oil it. And it has also has the tassel with it. I know I showed it off once before, but yeah. So these were machine stamped and serial numbered. This one was from my father's collection after he passed. And it is, I believe, right around $4,000. Am I going to do another reading soon? You know what? After the show's over, leave a few comments. If you have some requests, it is in immaculate condition. Probably the best condition I've ever seen. Most of them, the blades are rusted all the way into the tang. And this one, of course, I also once a year do a complete cleaning with it and my other katana. If anybody has any requests for something for me to do on the show, do another reading. The Harlan Ellison, I'm still kind of surprised that I haven't got a copyright strike on that. I'd love to read. I've got so many books. I'm trying to think. You have to be very careful with reading. I've got some stuff that is definitely public. Yeah, some short stories. It's just finding something that's public domain. And that yes, it does have a little button that keeps the sheath locked on. That would be right there. Yep. Oh, if I somewhere there is most Reader's Digests are short versions of longer stories. There's a couple. Oh dear God. I've got audiobooks of all of them, and I got into my storage on my iPhone the other day, and I was looking because I've got them all downloaded so I can listen to them even if the internet goes out. And the more I do photography. I take pictures of shit. I save pictures for photo reference if I'm going to do some artwork later. And the biggest things that I have on my phone are all George R. R. Martin. So add that in the Foundation series. So now I might be able to do that. So reading some Asimov might be good. Um, there's I don't know. I'll give it some thought and I'll think about it. That if anybody has something that they feel needs reading, um, it needs to be old because I'm gonna tell you, I end up with a copyright strike because you're like, uh, this Stephen King novel needs read. But it definitely needs to be short. If I can't read it in 2 hours, then because that's right about my limit when sitting in this chair and my spine starts to say I'm done. Uh oh, uh no, it's gone. Hmm. Oh, there was something else that I wanted to definitely mention tonight, and Bunny kind of Co Bunny kind of gets me thinking. I would really like to do an EDC everyday carry episode because I love collecting EDC stuff, even though my lump ass never gets to go anywhere and carrying half the shit that I used to carry. I don't have any reason to anymore. But I've still got a mess load of EDC stuff that uh yeah, EDC means everyday carry. Um a lot of it will be like how people have started carrying those Ridge wallets where they cut down and minimalize what they carry. It's also, I mean, if you're a you never heard that term? Oh man, I might have unlocked a door. I'm sorry, Dan. Um I may I may be leading you astray, sir. Um there's a number of channels on Instagram and YouTube that just focus strictly on EDC, and it Accessorize Me is a really good one if you like spending a absolute fortune on fidget spinners. Um Conceal Carry has a lot to do with it. Um it um Yeah, I can't show any of that stuff here. Uh, that's what I got to be careful with because there's some things on I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube. I don't entirely know how I can show some of it off. Uh, Pew pews are definitely something that I'm not I'm not showing off, but I've got a pretty decent knife collection. And I've got other things that like that I carry. But EDC, Dan, can be almost anything. I've got a small pouch that I carry that is kind of a little miniature bug out bag. Has a little first aid kit in there. Oh, here I got something I can. Um, hmm. Bunny will really like this too. Here we go. So this is kind of a EDC thing. This was put out by Victorinox, who does Swiss Army knives, and this was something that they produced a number of years ago. I found it. Oh God, you want to talk about this? sells in poor condition missing things for about $400 to $500 on eBay. And you have your Swiss Army knife, which has a bunch of your tools. You got, I think that's supposed to move that anyway. You know, so you've got that, which is almost an entire EDC all by itself. But also in the kit, you have, now this, here's some age for you. How about a Maglite Solitaire? Did I take the batteries out of this? I think I took the battery out of it. I didn't want it. Oh, ugh. Ooh, a Duracell. Oh, that's disgusting. I usually don't like keeping anything other than lithium batteries because they don't. If you've got toys and they take batteries, lithium batteries, they don't explode and rot. It also has a compass. I can zoom down a little bit more. You've got on the other side a small whetstone and sharpening stone. You've got a small comb. This is actually a pencil, mechanical pencil that came with the kit. I don't think I've got any lead in it at the moment. And this is all just, there's a little sewing kit, a little matchbook, some extra tweezers, a whistle, I haven't taken any of the stuff off of it, but this is a mirror, like a signal mirror. You look through that little hole and you can see where you're signaling. Is that everything in there? Yeah. And some of the personal EDC that I carry with me every day. This is a titanium whistle from a company called Kaiser. And this is my emergency whistle. I'm not allowed to blow this unless I'm having an emergency. Yeah, I'm getting yelled at as we speak. So this would be, if you carried this with you every day, it's got little belt loops on it. And you carried this with you every day, this would be considered everyday carry. Stuff that you use every day. And you need, if you're a plumber, you probably carry with you a flashlight. If you're a mechanic, you probably carry with you a wrench. Some stuff you can just fit in your pocket that's not doesn't take up a lot of room, but also, oh yeah, there's a little fishing kit in there. I always forget about that. I'm gonna get my fingers on them hooks one day. Oh, I knew I wasn't gonna be able to get this shit back in here. I found this at a pawn shop in the $5 bin. Hey, and it was the best day of my life. By the way, the lanyard was that was my wife's doing. She is pretty damn good with that. But that's a little EDC stuff. Yeah, that little pencil's fantastic. And I got a pencil collection. I need to shut up. Somebody's gonna break into my house. I have to show off another collection. But here pretty soon I yeah, oh yeah, it was my pleasure. Trying to think. I've got, I've got a whole drawer of stuff. Trying to think what else. Oh, here is some EDC that I absolutely. This is one of my favorite EDCs. This is. Oh, these things are great. Little hooks, just like that. And then it becomes a little clip and hangs on whatever you need it to, becomes a little hook. Absolutely. Just trying to think, what's that? I can't remember what it's called. They make a bunch of different sizes, but this is some EDC that I used to carry all the time. And you want to talk about some collectors? Ooh, talk about some of those Leatherman collectors. This little, everybody wants that, a little ratchet. I think that's everything in there. Oh, a little lanyard piece. These Leatherman Surge used to carry this. I picked this up. My last one had broke. So I was in Sacramento at the Bass Pro Shop there, which is probably one of the most beautiful buildings I have ever been in. It was a certain. There we go. Yeah. There are so many nifty little things with this. Got different tools you can put in here. A little. Turn that into a ratchet. I love tools. I can't help it. It's the problem is I have no use for most of them anymore. Aside from modeling tools and things like that. But you will never catch me if Dan, I'm going to tell you, if you need a Leatherman Surge is, everybody's got their favorite, and every collector will want to, research it. Every collector will tell you, they got different, you need to get this one, you need to get that one. This one's a piece of shit and all that. And ultimately, you just need to pick one that you like that looks cool, because that's the most important thing about tools, is that they look cool. And because if they don't look cool, then nobody will care about when you use it. And that's important too. You got to look cool. That's why Snap-on and Mac Tools exist, is so you can look like that calendar guy when you're ratcheting those nuts. Yeah, little things like that. Oh, you got a K-bar? Oh, that's adorable. I got a K-bar too. No, if I open this, I'm going to get in trouble on YouTube. But anyway, yeah, it's a K bar. I think that's the BK2. Just BK2. Google it, kids. But yeah, K bars are fantastic. Probably some of the best knives I've ever seen. I love it. Um, and some of the smaller ones are you just K bars are meant to be used. They're fantastic. And I miss some of the antique ones that have the yellow there's a name for them, scales. That's what they call the side of a knife. Scales. Did you learn something, kids? But, you know, it doesn't matter what EDC you have. If it's not useful, it doesn't matter how cool it looks. If it's not something useful, you know, we can get into little flashlights. I am a sucker for a flashlight. I just I'm uh I'm nervous to share. You know, everybody knows me that for having a GI Joe collection, and I'm nervous and I get anxiety thinking about sharing any other collection with people because that's going to attract more people. And some of those might not adhere to the golden rule, which is don't be a dick. And well, you know, there's that. I just love fezzes. Fezzes get a bad rap. You know, they they're making a comeback. I can tell. Telling you now, fezzes, you make a comeback. It's a good hat. Good hat. I got all kinds of hats. Got a top hat right over there. I got a straw hat. I got, you know, beanies. It yeah, I mean tell me. It just it's just not the same. You know, it's nice. I should be wearing this. It's summertime. This is kind of my summertime hat. Um, I have exactly, you know, I have one of my dad's cowboy hats only because I know that it would absolutely piss him the fuck off knowing that I have it. It's the only reason I have that hat. It's like that it's my anger hat. But I'm just mad. Yeah. But uh-oh. Tell me you love me. Tell me you need me. Be my ragtime gal. Now, see, the fez. That's the way. My Clark Kent hat. It's like, where did Max go? Max? No, Max. Max, no. No, 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 no. He went off paddling down the way, seen his little fez floating down the river. Ah, you just missed him, sir. Oh, what a day. What a day. This is this is the guy watching the Hindenburg. This is the guy who set the fire. I do not have any fedoras. For fedoras, oh, you're talking to Riley. Sorry, I will. This is Max going back to minding his own damn business. You know, it's only my show. You know, I don't. Fine. talk to Rowdy. You know, she isn't on every 5 minutes. She's probably already got 2 episodes since I started this one loaded up. It's cool. Fine. Do you have that fedora, Rowdy? How's that fedora, Rowdy? Sing you a little song, and I just get it. It's fine. I'm just trying to think. That's what else we got here. Damn. But there's nothing reflective behind me because those were amazing. Anyway, all right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get you a quote and get you off to bed for Poppy fart. What populart? What spell word? Are you having a stroke? Do you need help? All right, let us rummage through the book. Here we are. William Gallagher, 1881. We are for our own people. We want to see them happy, healthy, and wise, drawing strength from cooperation with the peoples of other lands, but also contributing to their full share to the general well-being. Not a broken down pauper and mendicant, but a strong living partner in the progressive advancement of civilization. Oh, dear Lord. This is from The Case for Communism. Ladies and gentlemen, have a very Marxist night, I guess. And be well. And remember the golden rule: don't be a dick.